Let's go from budget to Afghanistan, something we talk about around this table all the time. Bob, you've talked about it a good bit. Congressman, obviously, you've been very concerned for a very long time with America's ever expanding military state. The White House is now talking about looking into possibly drawing down in Afghanistan quicker. Could you explain why we are still in Afghanistan after a decade?
No sane reason for us to be there. And this drawing down in Iraq is a complete farce. They're not drawing down. I mean, we have an embassy there, the biggest in the world. It's a fortress. 17,000 people are going to be. They're going to be contractors. We may take a few troops out and spread them around. They're going to put more troops in Kuwait. We are not vacating anything, and as long as we're there, as long as we're there, believe me, there is going to be incentive to kill us.
Can I ask you something on that? Because I've been to a bunch of your speeches on the trail, and usually when you get to the foreign policy section of your speech, you'll see half the crowd cheer you wildly. They go nuts, and then you see the other half of the crowd start booing. And I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about Republican politics with respect to foreign policy specifically, and look at the past 10 years.
Very convoluted.
Look at the past 10 years, and starting with the rise of the neoconservative wing, and where the Republican Party stands now as a unit with respect to foreign policy.
I think what you're saying is a strictly Republican meeting. You know, half and half.
I'm talking about like a CPAC.
But if I go to a campus, it's 95%. These young people who are bearing the burden, inheriting the debt, and have to fight these wars, and the military. Guess what? You know, I get more money from active military duty, twice as much as all the other candidates. They're sick and tired of it. So my
Did you know that, Bob? In the 08 campaign,
and this
while you have neocons trashing Ron Paul because he's saying bring the troops home, in the last campaign and in this campaign, military members and their families gave easily more to Ron than anybody else because they understand the strain better than some politician or somebody in a think tank in Washington, D.C., that this is putting. It is a readiness issue. We're stretching. And it's expanding, ever expanding.
But at the same time, I think you have to give credit to President Obama on this. He is drawing down. Now, the question is, and lots of other Republicans say he may be doing that too fast in Iraq, that he needs some troops there as an insurance policy, and there's a certain rationale there. But the White House is on the Pentagon on spending, on getting troops out of Afghanistan and Iraq. But you're right, Joe. We're not taking the flag down. We're not. And no president wants to.
We are spending
none of it is that easy
$2 billion a week in Afghanistan. And you talk about college campuses. I have yet to find people outside of Washington, D.C., Ron, that thinks it makes sense for us to spend $2 billion a week in Afghanistan a decade later.
No, it absolutely makes no sense, and there's no money. I mean, we're in this huge deficit. If we can't cut the occupation of these countries, there's no hope for us. Let me tell you, there's just no hope for us. We better be willing to do it. We have to change the policy. If the design is to police the world and nation build and satisfy everybody's borderlines, believe me, we're doomed because we're doing exactly what the Soviets did. We need to change our attitude, take care of our people at home. How do you get medical care at home if you're spending all this money bombing people and then rebuilding their countries? It's insane.
Well, and the rationale for staying in Afghanistan is to keep al-Qaeda from coming back into Afghanistan. And as we know, al-Qaeda has had a bad couple of years.
They have.
And they are going back into Afghanistan.
But they're in Iraq now. They weren't there when we went to war. So we're only giving the incentive for the al-Qaeda.
Congressman Ron Paul, very good to have you on the side. Please come back.
Thank you, Ron. Great to see you.
Thank you.
Good luck.